So here we are as promised to talk about the Utah Jazz for the second day in a row, more specifically about Walker Kessler, as I am pretty certain that this is the version of him that we should see over the duration of the season. If you're new to the channel, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. Go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications if you're into NBA basketball. And without any further ado, we're going to talk about what's different about Walker Kessler this season compared to the previous two, more importantly, the last season where he seemed relatively underwhelming. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this one. So obviously, Walker Kessler's rookie year was the standard for him. The year where he ended up coming into his own as the season progressed, earned more minutes, and then eventually saw a significant number of starts. He ended up averaging about 9 points, 8.5 boards, and an assist a game, and he was putting down 2.5 blocks per game as well, while shooting 72% from the field. His sophomore season wasn't necessarily the best. It was also marred by an injury to his elbow that kept him out for a significant number of games. He played a total of 74 games his rookie season, starting in 40. In his sophomore season, he played in 64 and started in 22 of those, putting together a similar 23.5 minutes per game, while putting together 8 points, 7.5 rebounds, and a tick up from his previous 2.3 up to 2.4 blocks per game. But his overall field goal percentage, despite being on the same 5.5 attempts, went down from 72 to 65.5. Overall, on the side note, his free throw percentage has never been the greatest. His rookie year was 51% while shooting 2 attempts a game, and then his sophomore year it was 60% on 1.5 attempts. So not much better this year. As a matter of fact, it took a little bit of a dip, as right now he's taking about 1.5 a game, shooting 57%. I do expect it to go up a little bit and normalize a little bit more. He's probably not up to 70%, but I do think that we could see somewhere where he's around anywhere from the 64 to the 68% range this year by the time the year ends. And also for the fact that he's only getting basically 1 foul a game, it puts him into a situation where he doesn't have that many opportunities to make up when he misses his 2 for the game, basically, which just makes it seem like he's a horrendous free throw shooter, when I think that the lack of overall free throw shooting that he ends up having is more of a culprit to understand why we don't see a significant change in his overall shooting percentages. Nevertheless, he started out this season looking really good, giving us a double-double in Game 1, and he's looking really strong on the glass. More importantly, the offensive glass, where he's averaging 3.8 offensive rebounds a game, which is the highest of his career thus far. Overall, he's averaging a career high in rebounds in just 3.5 more minutes of action at 26.5 minutes over these 5 games, which he has started in all 5 over John Collins, and puts together 8 points, 10.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, which is up for basically half an assist his rookie year and 1 assist his sophomore year, showing he's being a little bit more involved in certain dribble handoff scenarios and just overall making the extra pass when it's necessary, or when he realizes that he doesn't necessarily have it in the paint, which is good to see his critical thinking go up. He's also having a career high in steals at 0.8, up from 0.5 and 0.4 the previous 2 seasons, so basically right around 1. And I think it'll probably go down just a little bit, but who's to say that it couldn't go up to 1? But either way, it's just a impressive improvement on his game. Now, from a block standpoint, because everybody loves those and that's what he's known for, 2.3 his rookie year, 2.4 his sophomore year, and yes, he has improved thus far over 5 games, small sample size, I know, but he's at 2.6 right now, and I see no reason why he should slow down, especially with the uptick in minutes. Now, I would like to see him playing around 28 minutes a night, even though we are in the waters that we are in with the injuries that we have. I think that either he will end up playing that extra couple minutes just because we're down with basically 5 guys in our rotation dealing with injuries, or we'll see a world where he keeps the same and then he ends up seeing some more minutes, or we see more minutes from a Kyle Filipowski or Johnny Juzang, some of those younger guys, and we just kind of slide the rotations around and Drew Eubanks see some more minutes, which, wouldn't help the young guys develop, but it would be something that kind of holds us over a little bit until Lowry comes back and we get some more meaningful minutes from a lot of guys. Now, like I said, his offensive rebounding has taken a step up, but his defensive rebounding has as well. His rookie year, he defensively rebounded 5.3 rebounds, his sophomore year 4.9, and now he's up to 6.8 thus far, which is a significant improvement, obviously 2 boards up overall from his previous year, and I think that this is the Walker Kessler that I have been hoping for. Now, he's not perfect, He's still a little bit lead-footed and struggles a little bit in pick and rolls that end up being extremely high on the rim. But overall, I think that we're really impressed, or should be really impressed, with what he has shown us so far. Obviously, being a 7-footer right around 245, 250 pounds, he provides a lot of rim protection. He's been top 5 in rim protection percentage. I believe it's on 150 attempts defensed last year and years previous. So he's always been in that top 5. I think that he will continue that obvious trend, and hopefully we'll see some more from him offensively. Now, part of it is him just quite honestly not getting certain looks. The way we're using Colin Sexton is a little bit, and has a little bit to do with that, because he seems to have a really reliable chemistry with him. But with Keontae George trying to learn the ropes of running the point guard spot, and since they seem hell-bent on determining whether or not he can or cannot effectively run the point guard position, Walker Kessler, I think, will be a key cog in the machine as to whether or not his evaluation goes well or just poorly. Because Walker is going to be available, he's going to be a viable lob threat, he sets good screens, he rolls to the rim at a pretty solid rate. I would like to see him roll a little bit harder sometimes, but overall, from last year to this year, offensively, it's night and day. Now, he hasn't attempted any three-pointers, and maybe we'll see him bust out a couple, but it seems like we're more content in the fact of expecting him to just be a lob threat, somebody that can rebound really effectively and just finish those. The biggest piece of the pie that I would like to give him credit for, though, is the fact that he just seems more engaged. He seems like he wants to be on the court. And even before the season started, when trade rumors were going all around, I was saying quite simply, if Walker Kessler is going to stay in Utah and he's going to be a key cog in this machine going forward, he has to continually show us that he wants to play basketball. Because sometimes last season, with no disrespect intended, it just seemed like he was there because he was expected to be there. It seemed like he was letting guys muscle him out of the way. It seemed like he didn't really want it that bad at certain positions and certain possessions of the game. But this year, thus far, I know it's an extremely small sample size. Again, I'm going to keep harping on it because I don't want someone to say, well, you can't just judge him off of just that. Well, this is all we have to judge him off of. And since it looks promising, I want to go ahead and heap on praise while we can, just in case things go a little bit south. But either way, he just looks more intentional with what he's doing. And that's the thing that stands out the most to myself personally, because effort is something you can't teach. You can hope for effort and you can expect effort from a player, but if they don't feel like it's necessary for them to do a certain thing, or if they feel like they can skirt by and you're not going to pull them out of the game if they don't do something, or if they don't execute something properly, or if they don't communicate, if they don't talk on defense, then they're not going to do it. And I think Will Hardy set a good expectation with Walker Kessler, particularly this year. I know that there was allegedly some rough conversations had between them in the previous years, and that's why people said, oh, he's on the trade block. And he's just a good player. He has really good rim protection. He moves his feet better than Rudy Gobert. So when you can get somebody that's going to be top 5 in blocks per game, he's going to be a reliable rim protector, have a very high defensive percentage, and he moves his feet a little bit better than Rudy Gobert, and he's still on his rookie contract, teams are going to call. That just makes sense, especially if you're a team like the Los Angeles Lakers, where yes, you're playing really well. Yes, you have a rookie coach in JJ Redick, and he's doing things phenomenally over there. But AD at the 4 is a lot better than AD at the 5, and they're just trying to skirt by. Teams will continue to call Walker Kessler, and the better he plays, the more teams will call. But we know how Danny Ainge is, and he does not like to get fleeced. In fact, he loves to do the fleecing. If he can't do the fleecing, he's not in for the sale. And right now, if Walker Kessler continues at this particular trend, especially I want to see more of a two-man game between him and Lauri Markkanen, because I think that would be something that would, as I say, feed families going forward when we actually do plan on being an extremely competitive ball club. But even aside from that, him being on the floor when there's optimal spacing is something that I would love to see. I would love to see his post-game develop just a little bit more. I would like to see him continue this level of aggressiveness, particularly on the glass, because that will keep him on the floor. You have guys that want to shoot the basketball. You have your Keontae George. You have your Jordan Clarkson. You have your Colin Sexton. You have your Lauri Markkanen, right? So those guys are always going to be your viable options to shoot or get a bucket. Now, 2 of those guys I named might be a little bit more or a little bit less efficient than the other 2, but nevertheless, they do like taking shots. So you're not going to harp on the fact that one game he has 7, 8 shot attempts, and the next game he only has 3. The only way you get on that 3 is if there were a lot of putbacks that he should have put back and he just looks away from the rim. And again, that comes down to effort, intensity, and just wanting to get that bucket bad enough. As a lob threat, I like him. I would like to see him using pick and rolls just a little bit more where he ends up with the ball in his hands. I haven't seen enough of high IQ plays from our guards to dictate the fact that, or to validate the fact that he doesn't need that lob attempt. And with that being said, the DHOs have been looking really, really good so far. I hope that they continue. And honestly, I just hope he stays healthy because, like I said, we've had issues with multiple guys. Taylor Hendricks went down for the season. Larry Markin is out temporarily. We have Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson dealing with injuries. Keontae George had a minor ankle injury, and he said that he's okay. It's just something small. So it's not necessarily about the just getting a lot of minutes and him just being in the game a lot. It's also going to be about him having quality minutes, us not just leaving him out there just to leave him out there, and then also being happy with the total quantity of data that we end up getting from the overall games and minutes that he plays. But with all that being said, I just wanted to go ahead and give him a little bit of praise real quick. There's going to be some other guys that get some praise and some other guys that get a little bit more of a harsh criticism, but I want to give them about 10 games to give me a eighth of the season worth of tape to really harp on before I sit there and make some final judgments on some guys that should stay and remain a part of the rotation, some guys that deserve more minutes in a rotation, and then some guys that may need to see the trade block or get offloaded in some other secondary trade. With that being said, though, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. How do you feel about Walker Kessler's performance so far? I would give him a B+, kind of tempted to give him an A-. I'm right there. If it was a 1 to 100 score, I say he's sitting at 87 to 89. Sometimes the effort's a little waning, but overall, this is night and day from last year from myself personally. Let me know what you guys would grade him in the comments below. As always, I'm interested to hear your opinions. Go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and become a member. Drop a donation to help support the content. And as always, good morning, good evening, and good night, no matter where you're in the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.